What's up, guys? Here are my predictions for Bellator 206 happening this Saturday. Pretty solid card. Some really good matchups, some good prospects, some guys going up in weight. You might say technically this might be the best card that I've ever seen from Bellator. So we're going to start with Pico versus Leandro Higo. This fight is super interesting because you have Pico, who is the prospect of Bellator. Everybody's so high on him. Everybody is already throwing out that he's going to be the next superstar. He's going to be the next champion. He has all the skills in the making of a future dominant champion. He has excellent boxing, excellent wrestling. He's very experienced in both of those prior to MMA. Just turned 22 years old. I mean, this guy's really young, and all of his fights are finishes. He has 3 knockout wins. He has some nasty body shots. Left hook to the body, left uppercut to the body. Always fighting the liver, especially in his last fight. He has pretty good balance. He has a pretty good transition to his takedowns from his boxing. Good at measuring jabs, but he doesn't really sting opponents with them. In his right hand, he's having a hard time finding it in his fight so far, but again, he is progressing a lot. He is very young, so that punch could work on Higo, but I really see him trying to go to the body a lot more and using that to transition to his takedowns. So maybe throwing a jab, looking for the hook to the body, and then transitioning to a single leg as Higo tries to move away from the body punches and leaves his legs exposed. And Pico has excellent takedowns. He's very strong, and a thing you have to take note about this fight is Pico is going to be the bigger fighter in there. Higo fought at bantamweight. Pico came from lightweight. He's a real featherweight, and Higo isn't even a big bantamweight. So the size advantage is going to go on Pico's side, and his wrestling style mixed with Higo's, I wouldn't say poor takedown defense, but it's not the best. The size is going to be a big factor in that when Pico goes for these double legs, when he goes for the single leg, especially because Higo, he is pretty well versed in his striking. He has very good defense. His counters aren't the best, like you saw in his last fight against Darrion Caldwell. Caldwell was trying to pressure him. He was trying to find an opening, and whenever there was a counter shot opportunity, Higo never took it. I don't see too many counters for Higo on Pico here, unless they stay in the pocket. That's the only way I can see Higo finding Pico's chin. Pico's very fast, but Higo has excellent balance and very good defense of not getting hit by anything crazy, but he always leaves his legs exposed. So although Higo has the massive experience advantage here, he fought the champion in bantamweight in Bellator, and he has 22 fights under his belt. I think Pico with the size advantage, his wrestling is going to be a big factor in this one. And I think his boxing is just overall better than Higo's. We haven't seen Pico get hit by too many kicks, head kicks, body kicks, leg kicks, a mixture of all of it. So that's going to be interesting to see if Higo's going to go that route. But I'm going to go with Pico in this one, and I'm going to go by a decision. And then we go to Douglas Lima versus Andrei Koreshkov. This is a very interesting fight. They already fought each other. This is going to be an excellent striking match, just like before. Both strikers. Koreshkov could go for takedowns. These two guys are huge welterweights. Koreshkov, I would say, has a better wrestling game than Lima does, but Lima has a better BJJ game than Koreshkov. Douglas Lima is a much more Muay Thai-oriented fighter. He has insanely powerful kicks. His leg kicks especially, that he landed on Rory MacDonald, absolutely brutalized him. No one in the UFC, no one in the MMA was able to utilize leg kicks on Rory to that extent. Douglas Lima tore his legs apart, and he was launching Rory off his feet with them. Lima is a one-shot fighter. He doesn't set up combinations. He looks to counter. He looks to find openings off feints and explode on the opponent whenever there is an opening, but he doesn't do it a whole lot. So he doesn't expend his energy a whole lot, and he also doesn't expose himself too much. But when he hits and when he finds those precise shots, because he is insanely accurate, one shot and it's all it takes to put out anybody. He has a powerful left hook. He has a powerful straight right hand. And just like Muay Thai fighters, he likes to lean back on strikes. Kind of like Darren Till does, but he doesn't use that kind of footwork. He's more of a plotter than anything. But it's very tight defense, everything. Checking kicks, leaning away from head kicks, leaning away from straight right hands, slipping on punches, putting up a tight guard. Very tight, tanking kind of defense. Koreshkov moves a lot more. Koreshkov will throw spinning techniques, he'll throw spinning back fists. Very different than Lima's style. He likes to set up his high kicks, and he is also very, very powerful. I would say Lima has the power advantage here, and he's a little bit faster than Koreshkov, but Koreshkov does have the takedown threat. Like you saw in their first fight, he was able to get Lima down once when Lima was looking to overreach on one of his punches, and Koreshkov got it to the ground. But like I said, Lima has better BJJ, better scrambles. He was able to get up right away, sweep out the legs. I think he used a butterfly hook, if I remember correctly, get right back to his feet. And one advantage Lima does have over Koreshkov is that his punches doesn't come out from the bleachers. He doesn't throw looping punches like Koreshkov does. There were a couple exchanges in their first fight where Koreshkov was looking to throw these haymakers at Lima. Lima was coming right on the inside of them and Koreshkov backed off. The power of Lima is there, and he is so precise landing inside strikes. And even when you look at the left hook he dropped Koreshkov with, it wasn't like he swung his arm open and straightened it like a lot of fighters do when they're throwing haymakers. He kept it bent, he kept very good form, although it was a lot more wild because he weaved to one side and then brought his left hook over with all that momentum, so it looked like it was a wild punch. But look at it carefully, look at it slowly. His form is so perfect and able to drop Koreshkov easily with it. So my prediction for this fight, I'm going to go with Lima to win the rematch again. I think he's going to win by a second round knockout this time. Koreshkov might go for takedowns a lot more because he did see some success with them. He saw Lima was leaning a lot, and when he leans, he leaves his legs exposed, he leaves his hips exposed, and he was able to get one takedown, I believe it was in the second round, and hold him down until the end of the round. But Lima also knows that's what Koreshkov's going to look for, and whenever Koreshkov is going to go from some wild strike, Lima's always there for the counter. So that's what I think is going to happen again. I think Koreshkov is going to throw some wild strike, and I see Lima countering him again. I see leg kicks destroying Koreshkov. And these two guys, to be honest, are very much UFC level. Both these guys, I believe, would be in the top 10 in the UFC. Lima, I would say you can argue Lima could be in the top 5 even. And then we go to the co-main event, Quinton Rampage Jackson versus Wanderlei Silva, the 4th fight. I don't know what you would call that. This is a very hard fight to predict. That all these fights are that include these older fighters, really experienced, have taken a lot of damage in their career. But actually, when you look at it, Rampage hasn't taken that much damage compared to Wanderlei and some of these other guys. Rampage took most of his damage early in his career. Look at his fight with Chael Sonnen, Fabio Maldonado. Glover Teixeira hit him a couple times, hurt him a little bit, but nothing too crazy. His other fights as well, King Mo, both of those fights, he didn't take much damage. Wanderlei, on the other hand, has taken a lot of damage in his career, and he hasn't fought for a very long time. He fought Chael Sonnen, which was a good experience for him when it comes to wrestling, because Chael did not really strike with Wanderlei a whole lot, and when Wanderlei was able to catch Chael, drop him, Chael just went straight to wrestling the entire fight. This is going to be a striking match. There's too much ego here, there's too much pride here. They're not going to try to take the other down. Rampage wants to make it even 2-2, and Wanderlei never goes for takedowns, and he wants to shut up Rampage. So when you look at these two guys, as of what we know from them, Rampage is more of a boxer than anything. He has very good takedown defense, which is not really going to matter a whole lot in this one. Wanderlei is more of a Muay Thai fighter, but wings out his punches a little bit too much, and that's what costed him in the trilogy fight. If I'm going to just skip to it, I think something like that is going to happen again. Something very similar. Rampage, at the end of the day, he still has his power. He's going to be much bigger than Silva. Gained a lot of weight, which is still going to have a lot more behind his punches than Wanderlei's will. I would think Rampage still has a better chin than Wanderlei does. So what I see from this fight is, I see them both coming out there, getting close to each other, almost like a phone booth fight. Wanderlei's going to try to look for his haymakers, his hooks. I see Rampage blocking them, covering them up, looking for his counters again. Maybe initiating some kind of opening of Wanderlei this time. Rampage has much better hands and much better boxing than Wanderlei does. Wanderlei, though, his biggest advantage is going to be in the clinch. If he can get it in the clinch and land knees on Rampage, just how he did in the first 2 fights they had, that is going to be the biggest thing for Wanderlei. Everywhere else, I see Rampage beating him. Even at this stage, a lot of people know now, a lot of people are understanding how to beat the Thai clinch when they are really focusing on landing the knees. I think Rampage most likely would fix that mistake because that's the biggest thing he has to look for from his first 2 losses to Wanderlei. So game plan wise, fight IQ, boxing, taking less damage in his career, bigger power, the bigger guy in there. I'm going to go with Rampage to win this one. I'm going to go by a first round knockout. Then we go to the main event, in my opinion, the best fight in Bellator history. Gegard Mousasi versus Rory MacDonald, a super fight. The middleweight champion versus the welterweight champion. These two guys are so well-rounded. They're good at everything. And another interesting point is, when they came into Bellator, they turned to very heavy grapplers, very heavy wrestlers. And in the UFC, they relied a lot more on their striking. You look at Gegard's fight with Chris Weidman, Aliyu Latifi, Lyoto Machida, a bunch of other fighters he's fought in the UFC. Rory MacDonald against Robbie Lawler, Tyron Woodley, many other guys, right? Even Stephen Thompson to an extent. But you can also point that to when they came into Bellator, they fought mostly strikers. So they are that well-rounded where they just took it to where the path of least resistance is, which shows their fight IQ, which shows how well-rounded they are to the other competition. But to each other, they both came from the UFC. Gegard Mousasi, he has one of the best jabs. He has an excellent boxing game. He has very good sense of distance. Like you saw with Chris Weidman, where Chris Weidman went to wing out that overhand right, and Gegard got right on the outside of it and threw the left hook over, almost like a jab, but came from the left side, so you can say it's like a hybrid of both of them. and stunned him. I mean, his distance game is very impressive. His kicks aren't the best. He is utilizing a lot of that side kick to the knee in Bellator. You saw that in every single fight he had so far in this organization. And that is something he never used in the UFC. That can work on Rory, but I think round kicks on the legs of Rory is going to work a lot better. It's going to be a lot more effective because Rory's stance itself, he leans forward a lot and he uses a lot of in and out movements. So side kicks are going to be hard to gauge. And if he's leaning forward like he usually does to set up his jabs and look for takedowns like he did to Tyron Woodley, you have to reach past him, pretty much past his hands to catch his legs with the side kick. And he can grab onto it, he can catch it, take Gegard down. So I think round kicks to the legs are the way to go for Gegard, like you saw Douglas Lima use against Rory. Limit the movement, and Rory does not check kicks. He might have fixed that, but his leg kick defense was awful against Douglas Lima. Gegard also has very good takedowns, like you saw in Bellator. He took down everybody he fought. He has pretty good double legs. He's not super explosive, but you can see he's very strong when he gets a hold of you. It's like when he blasts through, fighters are able to hold him off a little bit, and then as soon as he's able to get a body lock, as soon as he's able to get a good grip, it's like they start crumbling down. It's very strange. It just shows the power or the strength of Gegard. And Gegard being the much bigger fighter here, that's going to be a huge factor in this fight. We're talking about Gegard who fought a heavyweight. He beat Mark Hunt, a heavyweight. He fought Ilir Latifi and put a clinic on him at light heavyweight. And Rory's coming from welterweight, and he's a real welterweight. He's not a huge welterweight. So the size advantage, the power advantage, the takedowns, even though Rory might be a better takedown artist, he might be more technical than Gegard, the size and the power of Gegard might just trump Rory's completely, just because of that. So a lot of people think Rory might take down Gegard, and I think he can take down Gegard, because Gegard doesn't have the best takedown defense. But if Gegard goes to take down Rory, I think he can be successful there too. And Gegard doesn't have the best takedown defense. Chris Weidman took him down multiple times, right? The single leg really works on Gegard. Rory's a lot better with the double leg, but the single leg will be there. Gegard plods a lot, and he leans on punches, he slips punches, and he just forgets his legs are there. So Rory could take down Gegard, and if it gets to the ground, I think Gegard's actually a better BJJ artist. I think he's better on the ground than Rory is. So I think he can scramble, I think he can drive in butterfly hooks, I think he can elevate Rory and get out from under him, use the strength as well, use his size. It's going to be very hard for Rory to keep down Gegard just because of that, let alone the skills behind him. Rory has an excellent jab. He's very reminiscent to GSP in the way he sets up takedowns. He's very reactive with them. If he sees some kind of opening, some kind of counter, he'll dive in for double legs or something. He's a much more, I guess, flashy striker than Gegard. Gegard is very fundamental with everything, but that can cost him because Gegard's jab, I think, is better than Rory's jab. His reach is a little bit longer, but he is taller, so it's going to add on a little bit more reach, and he has more power as well. The biggest thing going for Rory are those takedowns and his speed advantage. And that's about it, to be honest. He's taking more damage than Gegard has. Gegard hasn't taken a whole lot of damage, although he has 50 fights in his career. Rory, we've seen him get knocked down, knocked out. Stephen Thompson put a clinic on him on the feet. He's gone through so many wars, and now he's fighting a bigger man with more power than pretty much all those guys. Maybe Tyron Woodley and Robbie Lawler are somewhere with Gegard, but I'm going to have to go with Gegard in this one. I think it can be pretty competitive, but I think with everything involved, Gegard should win this fight. I think he's going to win by a third or fourth round submission or a TKO through ground and pound. I think he's going to take down Rory. The only alarming thing for Gegard here is there's an article that he is just it looks like he's overlooking Rory in a way. He's saying what his next fights are going to be. He's saying that he might retire soon. He says that he wants to go up to heavy. Like, he's thinking about a lot of different things. So that's alarming. And that's an X factor we'll never know. Will it affect him? Will it not? I have no idea. That is something you can't predict. But I'll stick with Gegard. I think he's going to have all of his faculties there. I think he's going to keep his head on his shoulders and eventually beat Rory. So Gegard, third or fourth round, TKO, ground and pound, or submission. So let's look at some of the betting odds here. See if anything's interesting. Aaron Pico, of course, going to be a massive favorite. But if you like underdogs, this is MMA. Anything can happen. Higo is the best fighter Pico's ever been scheduled up against. So if you think the experience is going to win here, and Pico might get caught by something, Higo isn't the worst choice when you're looking for a big underdog to win. Douglas Lima is the underdog. Really? That's an interesting one. So that's one I'd probably keep my eye on. He's not a big underdog, though. He's like a plus 125, and Koreshkov is a minus 150. It's not a wash. You know, Koreshkov does throw heat, so he could catch Lima with something, but Lima's very defensively responsible. And he's very confident and motivated because of that Rory fight. Look at what he said after that fight. He really wants to get in there. Vanderlei's an underdog. Anything can happen in that fight. I think Quinton Jackson will win, but at this stage of their careers, a plus 240, plus 225 Vanderlei against a minus 280 Quinton Jackson. Something to keep your eye on again. Roy's an underdog as well. He's a plus 225, plus 230 underdog, and Gegard's like a minus 270. Whenever I see this on the betting odds, there's Dakota Zimmerman versus Kerry Melendez. Kerry Melendez is a minus 1,100 favorite, and Zimmerman is a plus 650, plus 675. These always catch my attention because Melendez only has 2 fights in her career, an MMA career. Zimmerman only has 1 fight in her MMA career. But the betting odds are that lopsided. Now, I have seen fights from both of them. I have done my research. Zimmerman should not win this fight at all. Melendez is way more skilled. She fought in Bellator twice. She's knocked down her opponents, both of them. And her striking is just far beyond Zimmerman's. But Zimmerman did show to be very tough. She just marches her opponents down and just looks to land bombs on the opponent. Not the most skilled fighter, but the thing about these fights that always catch my attention is they are so low in experience in MMA, anything can happen. So are those the best odds to put out there? I don't think so. I don't think it's the smartest thing to do, but I do think Melendez is going to win. If you look at Zimmerman's fight, not the most impressive, right? You never know, though. The experience isn't high in each of these fighters. A lot of mistakes can be made, and when mistakes are made in MMA, capitalization on those is a sudden victory. I'm just saying, I think Melendez is going to win, but that's one to keep an eye on. Then let's jump to Rizin, where Tenshin Nasukawa is going to be fighting Kyoji Horiguchi in a kickboxing bout under the MMA banner. Which is kind of weird. I don't know why they do that. But a lot of you guys asked me to give my thoughts on this and give my prediction on it, so I'm going to make it really quick. Kyoji Horiguchi is going to be bigger than Tenshin Nasukawa. He's a bantamweight now, whereas Nasukawa is a flyweight. I know Horiguchi did fight at flyweight for a very long time, but he's much bigger now, knocking out bantamweights left and right. He has much more power than Nasukawa. He has a very different style. Nasukawa is more plodding than anything. He will move when he has to, and he's very quick with his movements. But the karate style that he puts out there is very different than Kyoji Horiguchi. Horiguchi's includes constant footwork all the time, in and out. Nasukawa is multi-directional with his movements. Horiguchi is very linear, but it's a lot of movement, and he covers a lot of distance, and because of that, he's generating a lot of power in his punches. Doesn't throw too many kicks, he'll throw some leg kicks, but it's just the punches. It's the blitz style, in, jab, cross, and then out. That's his main combination. And like his Ian McCall fight, he does have a devastating left hook, but he's able to get out immediately. He's a very fast fighter. Tenshin Nasukawa is much faster, and he's much more experienced in kickboxing. He has much more experience with the big gloves. I think it's big gloves, and if it is, this is going to play all the way into Nasukawa's favor. Nasukawa is more skilled, I think, more technical in all-around striking. He has excellent leg kicks, head kicks, body kicks, straight right hand, left hook, able to switch stances. He doesn't have the power, but he has the skill, he has the technique, he has the speed, he has the experience. So I'm going to go with Nasukawa. He's only like 19 years old, 20 years old, but still, he's a prodigy. He has 105 fights. Amateur in kickboxing. I'm going to go with Nasukawa. I think he's going to go the distance. I don't think he's going to KO Horiguchi. Horiguchi does have a pretty good chin. He hasn't taken any damage in his career pretty much. And he's very hard to find for strikes. So I think Tenshin Nasukawa is going to play the game. And I think he's going to win on points here. So those are my predictions, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And if you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up. If you enjoyed my content, make sure to subscribe. My next video, I might break down one of the fights on the weekend. Maybe 2, we'll see. I'm also going to come out with my Conor versus Khabib breakdown. So that's going to come out in the next couple days. And my prediction is going to be on Monday. I might skip my podcast on Tuesday because there's too much going on. I'll keep you guys updated on that. So again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.